All right, so let's start with lesson 2, difference in culture. So as we know, different country we have different cultures, not only country but different organization. Also, we have difference in culture. Okay, so this notes is actually talking about the differences in organizational culture in the around the organization around the world. Okay, in the organization around the world. Okay, so but before we get into this, before we get into the um, organizational structure, so I would like us to take a look at what culture actually, what is culture, and then what are the things that falls under culture when we want to deal with international business. What are the things that we should know about? Okay, so for example, here I have put. Okay, so this is my slide. Um, Difference in culture. So let's take a look at what are the things or what are the elements in the culture itself when we talk about international business. So the learning objective about this topic is you should be able to explain what is meant by the culture of a society, and then identifying the forces that lead to differences in culture. So what are the forces? What are the factors? What are the drivers of differences in culture? Identify the business and economic implication of difference in culture, and recognize how difference in social structure influence value in business. And lastly, demonstrate an appreciation for the economic and business implication for cultural change. I would like to remind you again, whatever that we have learned in this class is just a theory and in general based on the studies, based on research. So when it comes to practical world ataupun in a working environment, it might differ, right? This is just theory. This is just a general application, right? For us to learn, to understand more about the theory rather than step by step in practical. Okay, so across cultural literacy, it means that for business students, I remember when I was a business graduate, it's very important for us, especially if you are taking international business. It's very important for us to have a deep understanding about cross-cultural, right? I even have one subject on cross-culture where we learn about almost everything. We learn about the things that here, okay, the thing that we are going to learn here, the society, all the elements. So we have one subject about that. Okay. So this is an understanding of how cultural difference across and within nations can affect in which business is practiced. Okay, I'm sure that I have explained about several mode of entry in previous class. So definitely when we have business, we need to make sure that we can, if it's not follow, but adapt to the local culture, right, to the local market. So this local market might be different than our market in the home country. Okay, especially if let's say like one of the example is our religion. So some practices might not work in other religion, but it might work in your home religion and so on. Okay, so it's very important for students to know about culture, cross-cultural literacy. And then there may be a relationship between culture and cost of doing business in country or region. One thing about culture is not static. Okay, it can and does evolve. Okay, this is because it's a learning thing. Culture is a learning thing, so it can be shifted, it can be adopted, and so on. Okay, and it can be evolved. Multinational enterprise can be engines of cultural change. Okay, so one of the thing when we try to relate international business and organization and culture is about the practices in multinational enterprises can be one of the factors, one of the drivers that lead to change in culture. Okay, so firstly, the word culture itself, it is from the Latin word, okay, means that the meaning is actually to cultivate. Okay, to cultivate. Culture means to cultivate, meaning that it refers to the patterns of human behavior, human activity, and then in terms of the symbolic structure that give any kind of culture a specific learned norms. Okay, when we talk about culture, it is actually a system of value and norms. Okay, something that is practices. Um, a lot of people practices the same thing, right? It can be in terms of the attitude, in terms of the value, in terms of the beliefs that is practices by society, by a lot of people. Okay, and then culture itself, it cannot be easily isolated from factors, for example, like economic and political condition, because whether you like it or not, in organization, we also have a culture. So it can lead to, like, for example, politics in workplace, and then in terms of economic as well. Okay. So when we talk about culture, okay, so this is actually, like I've mentioned to you, is learned. Okay, it's interrelated, and then it shares by a group of people who actually set up the culture as well. Okay, the society. The society is a group of people that sharing a common set values and the norm. So this group of people, when they share any values, beliefs, practices. Okay, so it became common, it became a norm, then it will become a culture, right? Um, and then other than that, how culture is actually affecting international business is it can affect in the preference, okay, in a preference. I think, okay, but I recently maybe a student can help me here. Okay, one example, okay, in terms of preference, in terms of color, we normally, okay, associate Chinese with red color, because I believe that red color brings them luck and so on. But if I'm not mistaken, I just learned recently that they wear red color during festive, okay, not specifically for throughout their life, okay, but just for specific festive. So I'm not sure whether it's correct or wrong, correct or not. So please share with us, anyone, about this statement. Is it true that red is your color, and if you have more red, and means that you bring more luck, prosperity, and so on? Or anyone knows this facts? Okay, yeah, something like that. Okay, and then in businesses as well. Let's say I mean, okay, yeah lah, okay, that kind of preference, one of it, okay, in terms of colors, in terms of and then for example, like maybe compared to in Islamic countries, maybe red is not that preferred, but the maybe like grains associate with peace, associate with and then maybe black as well, okay, with that, because we in Arabic countries, black color are preferred, and then for men they will wear white and so on lah. Okay, all right. So culture, society, and nation state. Society reflect people who are born together by a common culture, like I've mentioned just now. Nation states are political creation that can contain a single culture or several cultures, definitely, because in a nation, it doesn't mean that, especially like us, right? Like us, we have a multi-race, we are a multiracial nation. So we share different cultures, okay? Similar with other countries as well. Maybe they have in the between the states, okay, in the city, in a large urban city, maybe they practice a different culture compared to the rural area, to the rural state, or maybe in terms of the ethnicity and so on. Okay, some cultures embrace several nations. For example, like uh, Malaysia, we share this quite similar with maybe we have like some Indian culture, Chinese culture, because we have a lot of race here in one nation. So can be some cultures embrace several nations. Also possible to talk about culture at different levels within society. Okay. So these are the determinants of culture. Okay, if we take a look at the determinants of culture, here we have six, right? Six: religion, social structure, language, education, economic philosophy, political philosophy. Okay, so these are the determinants of culture. The first one is religion. Okay, the first one is we take a social structure dulu. Okay. So a society social structure is based on social organization. We have two dimensions particularly important when we want to explain the differences between these cultures. The first degree is in terms of the basic unit of the social organization is individual. Okay, and then the second one is which society is stratified into classes and ataupun kita panggil sebagai kasta. Okay, it can be into classes, it can be into several country we call it caste. And then this actually society are characterized by similar traits, and then by the what we call a degree of social stratification. Okay, this one. The degree to which society is stratified into classes and caste. So we have the individual and then we have the group. Okay, so let's take a look at both. Okay. So the individual, this is emphasized in Western countries. All right. Individual achievement and entrepreneurship are promoted. Individual means that this is an expression of where we are being competitive. We are going to learn this more later in one of the theory ataupun one of the a model introduced by scholar. We are going to learn about that later. And then this is what we call as like individualism. Okay, individualism. In the culture where country practice individualism, so it encouraged job switching, the competition between individuals rather than team building, and then because encouraged job switching, right? So lack of loyalty to the firm. Individual focus more on achieving achievement oriented. Okay. Meanwhile, for the group, this is referring to people oriented. Okay, people oriented, where emphasized in non-Western countries, for example, like Japan. Okay. In this culture, if let's say group, it emphasizes on the teamwork, encourage lifetime employment is common, right? Compared to the individual, loyal. This culture, it means that it stays loyal with the firm, with the company. And then individual initiate creativity may be suppressed, right? However, if let's say for individual, because it creates competition, it creates more innovation, strive to success on their own. Meanwhile, for the group, maybe okay, one of the drawbacks of group culture is lack of the pressure of conformity. Maksudnya ialah you want to fit in the company, you want to fit in the company. You don't want to be, I'm sure that you have heard before this, people say that, okay, in a workplace, you doesn't have to show that you do a very good job. Okay, there are some apa orang panggil like allegation, tak tahu nak panggil apa, allegation, okay. So ataupun assumptions, suggestions people say that we don't have to perform so much in the workplace, because if we perform so much in the workplace, we are getting used, or you will be the one who will do everything. People will take advantage of you and so on. Okay. So this might, when we want to fit in with the society, we want to fit in, and then we want to make sure that we are equal, and then uh, that would be maybe put some limitation on our individual initiative, individual creativity. All right, um similar like, let's say, if in a meeting, and then you are afraid to come out with something might different, because afraid to be judged, to and also in a company as well, maybe resisting to change. It can be anything. Okay, so group, one of the drawback is it can limit because of the conformity problem. All societies are stratified into a hierarchical basis into social categories such ataupun social strata. This is a unit defined by characteristic as our family background, okay, occupation and income. All right, I give you one example. In Malaysia, we have the based on income. All right, and then if let's say the initial social stratification, it doesn't mean to create this a specific culture for different income group people, but because of their ways of they doing life, the way that, remember when I said that culture is in terms of preference, in terms of belief, in terms of the way that we practice it, shared by most of the people. So by having this social stratification, actually, these practices, it might not be promoted by the one yang create this stratification, okay, but it is actually just a standard practice by B40, M40, T20, right? This is a common practice where they go, where they want, where they shop, the way that they enjoy their life, the way that they, how the customer behavior. So everything is related, when we talk about culture and business, the way that they spend their money, the types of things that they buy. And then if we want to look more deeper, okay, the types of investment that they make, all right, the level of risk that they make in terms of their investment. Maybe 40-20, they have a different kind of investment, not just like middle income people. Okay, they do that as well, but instead of just focusing on at the point relying on investment that is available now, they involve in apa orang panggil, like buying shares, stocks, because they have money, right? So that kind of culture, and then the way that the place that they went to. That's why if you take a look at, maybe you are wondering why we have so many shopping mall. Okay, doesn't we have already like enough shopping malls in the world? But because of why? Because of this. Okay, one of the reason is maybe because of the culture. Maybe Malaysians, ataupun I am not sure. Again, maybe we just like to have shopping malls environment. We like to window shopping if it's not buy anything. All right, and then we can see that a lot of huge brands and the luxury brands started to come in Malaysia. Okay, maybe because in terms of social stratification, in terms of income has changed. Before this, we don't have pavilion lah, we don't have a DRX lah, and now when we have a lot of luxurious brands, okay, come into, because they can see potential, maybe in terms of our income and our country is developing, so maybe they can see that, okay, after went through a thorough analysis, okay, when they want to go for when they want to go for international business, definitely they have to figure out, they have to study about the host country first. Okay. And then in terms of the occupation, society differ in terms of the degree of mobility between social strata. The significant attached to social strata in a business context, like I've mentioned just now. Okay, social mobility meaning that the extent to which individual they can move out from the strata into which they are born. For example, like if you are born in middle class income group, and then you can develop yourself into a higher income. Okay, so yang kat sini tak ada let me see. For example, hmm, how to say? Okay. Oh, okay. So let's see here. Compared to this, I think this one is much more. Apa tak tahu ini. What is this? Let us. This is too small. Okay. For example, like this one lah. They have income class, but actually there is more. Okay. Lower class, middle class, upper class. Actually, they have more. Okay. Upper class. If I'm not mistaken, that they got 6 social classes. Right? Social classes. Yeah, they have this one like lower. They have working class, lower middle income, upper middle, and upper class. So they have this one lah. For example, maybe we have based on income, we have the B40, M40, and also T20. Okay, and then okay, next is okay, 4 basic principle of social stratification. It is a trait of society, not a reflection of individual differences. Okay, it's a trait of society because has been practiced by the society, most of the people. So actually, this is a trait of society, not reflection of individual differences. You can belong in one stratification, one category, but you prefer the other things. Okay, it carries over generation to the next generation. So another thing about culture is actually it can be passed. Okay, it's a generational thing. It can be passed, it can be learned, a continuous one, so it carries over generation to the next generation, generally universal but variable. Okay, and then evolve not just in equality but also belief. Next is this one, you guys can read it later. Next is religion. Okay, so in terms of religion, religion and ethical system. Okay. Definitely yes. Okay, one of the thing that is the factors ataupun the components in the culture is religion. Okay, religion and ethical system. So when we talk about religion, this is actually a system of shared belief and ritual that are concerned with the realm of the sacred. This is something that most of us were born with. Okay, this is passed by, let's say, when we were born, and then we will follow the religion with from our parents. Okay, a system of shared belief until we reach the mature age. So in some countries they can change religion. Okay, and then some religion they allow people to change, and like for example in Islam we can't do that. Okay, especially here in Malaysia, we have a very strong law in terms of that. Okay, ethical system, a set of moral principle values that are used to guide and shape behavior. Okay, um, and then the relationship between this religion, ethics, and society, very complex, okay, very complex. And then we have a lot of religions in the world today. So, but the most practices, okay, we can see here for Christianity, 2.2 billion, Islam is 1.6, Hinduism 1.1, Buddhism is 535 million, and Confucianism shaped culture in many parts of Asia. All right. And then in Western country, when in the Western, more Christianity. Okay, Confucian. In Asia, it's Confucianism. Okay, so maybe one of the things that can economic implication of Islam, for example, nowadays we can see that a lot of Islamic banking practices, okay, Sharia compliance and so on. So in economic practices ataupun in economic practices, Islam, they have their own way, they have their own set of practices. Okay, for example, here is, as you can see, is mudarabah. Similar, this one is similar to profit sharing. Instead of receiving predetermined rate of interest on bank deposit, and then the depositor receive a share of profits and from a bank investment. Okay, and then we have murabaha as well. Okay, this is a widely used. And we have other components as well. Okay, for example, like the concept of, let's say, this one I'm talking about related to economy, related to business, right? So we have for example, like investment, we need to have a um Sharia compliance punya investment. Okay, because why? Because it is actually a tuntutan, apa dah bahasa Inggeris, it actually a practices, okay, where you should make sure everything that you do, okay, when you receive your income, it need to be in a concept of what we call is halal. Okay, so that's why it doesn't matter your income, okay, the one that you work. That's why you have to choose something ataupun work in something that can bring you apa tu orang panggil yang income yang halal lah. Alright, and similar like investment as well, similar like so in order for us to really have a good clean income is by having a Sharia compliance, okay, based on the Islam practices. So that is one of the how religion is actually play a role in businesses, business practice, in economy, investment, and so on. Okay. And then after that, language. Okay, so language, we have I forgot, okay, how many language we have in the world. Okay, how many languages that are there in the world. So we have about 7,000 languages in the world, okay, practices by all over the world. And then as we know that in business, so English has become the main language, okay, ataupun, oops, sorry, we call as the lingua franca of the business transaction and so on. Okay, but this is not necessarily correct. Okay, if you go to, this is in widely used, okay, widely used. But if you go to a certain countries, you might find yourself very difficult if you even know that you are very fluent, okay, you are fluent in English, but it will still be difficult for you to deal in a country that they speak English, but in their daily transaction, in their daily activity with their locals, and they speak their language, okay? For example, if I'm not mistaken, I never been, but from the readings, from the video that I watch, okay, if you go to France, it will be quite difficult if you are doing business there to speak in English because they prefer to work with someone who can speak their language. Okay, and then if you go to South Korea as well, okay, South Korea, maybe they have their Korean language, so might be difficult for you um to speak ataupun to converse with society there, with businesses over there. Okay, that's why we have translator, right? That's important. Okay, how it affect actually. So you know that, oh, in this country you have to identify is English is normally widely practices over there, and then how do they actually in doing international business, in doing business with other foreign companies, and what is normally their practices? Will they bring their will they speak in English, or they just simply bring translators? So you have to know that, and then you can bring your own as well. Okay, for example, like Korea, and then I think Malaysia doesn't have a problem, right? Malaysia, Indonesia, Singapore, we use English widely until it has become an issue in our own country. Okay, the use of apa orang panggil tu foreign language, okay, has become a serious issue here in Malaysia. I remember one of the issue that is recently has been debated is when you want to deal with, this is not an international business lah, but how language can actually affect it in business operation. If you want to deal with government's offices, so you need to speak in Bahasa, okay, and all the letters sent to them as well, it need to be in Malay, sorry, in Bahasa. So that is how, okay, actually languages, when we but I think, in my opinion, okay, in my opinion, this is a fair practice because when we are dealing, let's say lah, okay, let's say local dengan local, okay, local dengan local, pergi government offices, government agencies, and then talk in bahasa. I think that it shouldn't be a problem because we as Malaysian, we should know how to speak in bahasa. Tak kisahlah campur aduk pun, at least you can use a little bit bahasa, right? This is something that lead to another thing, which is what we call as patriotism, something that your nationalism. You should know your own language, okay? So for me, it's a fair thing lah. Doesn't have to tak patut debate lah, okay? But maybe it become a problem. Why it become a problem? Because we are exposed to, instead of bahasa, we are exposed to more foreign language. Alright, contoh macam sekarang kan, okay, like example now, I I think that when I teach, okay, my words will come automatically, in English. But let's say if I want to talk in Bahasa, I have to think a bit, because not because I'm not fluent at it, but because this is something that we do normally. Okay, when we converse with people, we talk English all the time. So until it became a common thing, okay, a common thing, a culture, for us to talk in English. And then one of the example of how actually bahasa has been impacted in education. Okay, my previous dean, this is like long time ago lah, okay, long time story. My dean is actually an India Australian. Okay, so he doesn't know how, of course lah, he doesn't know bahasa. But when MQA reply to the letter and then give the results of the audit and so on. So it is in bahasa. Okay, so and then in my faculty, we only have a limited number of local, even though that is a university in local in Malaysia, but we have limited number of local lecturers. Okay, most of us are from most of them is international. Okay, from India, from Sri Lanka, from uh, Egypt, and so on. Okay, so problematic. Okay, it can be a problem for businesses, ataupun if it's not a businesses, personal, worker, employee in that organization to adapt with language. Okay, so that's how language is actually play a role in international business. Okay, uh, spoken and unspoken. Okay, so for spoken, like this is like a verbal, and then another thing. Okay, nowadays, all right, I think not only the language problem, I'm sorry to say this, okay, it's not just the language problem, for example, like English and Malay. Even Malay pun sometimes we don't understand. Okay, because why? Because words are being used for a different meaning. Okay, English words has been used for a different meaning. Because of why? This is a generational thing. I think. Okay, generational thing, and also the exposure of the media. One example is when nowadays people use the word slay. Okay, it's like slay. Slay means that if in dictionary, slay means that you like kill someone, right? You are slaying people, you kill people. But now slay has been used means that when you are doing an impressive things. So it's totally different meaning, So that is another thing I can say that in terms of language problem, language barrier, not only that we have a different language barrier, but the same language, different meaning barriers as well now. Okay. Um, Very difficult. Okay. And then in terms of the unspoken language, this is based on the non-verbal. So in terms of your gesture, maybe, right, for example, like with something that you do with your tongue. Maybe it's okay in US, but it's actually not okay in Turkey and so on. And then in terms of the distance as well. Okay, this is something that is what we call as non-verbal, non-verbal. In terms of distance, maybe in Western country, it's very common for them to speak closely and then have handshakes and so on. But maybe in other countries, this is not common practices. Okay. In terms of the length of the personal distance, okay, some it can be like 5 feet, but in other countries, for example, like in Latin countries, it can be very close, to get very close. During discussion, it's like a cheek to cheek punya practices. So we have to learn that as well, okay, the non-verbal language. Sorry, here, okay, the nonverbal cues may be interpreted differently, okay, and then can be resulted in misunderstanding. All right, I remember watching a movie when a business movie about dealing business with Japanese. So they don't do any facial expression. We think that we don't like the ideas and so on, but actually they do like it, but they just don't display a facial expression. Okay, they just have like that one expression of it. So next is education. So education as well has played a very important role in education. So we would like to take a look at the how education access in that country, okay, in a specific country. Formal education, because why? Because formal education, this is actually the one that can build build legal characteristic, build the values, right? When we learn so much more, when we have a proper education, so the way that we see things might be different, the way that we appreciate good values, and then we know things, right? We know things, and then we become skilled. So we have to take a look at in terms of education, how it's actually shape culture as well. Okay. And then maybe but when we talk about education, this is not something that is only taught in school. Okay, education is very wide. right? It's not something that we just taught in school. It can be outside the classroom as well. For example, our upbringing, okay? The education that we receive from our parents, from our family, in terms of dekat sekolah dia tak ada ajar about, being, I mean, in terms of put really much pressure on being honest, being punctual, and so on. Okay, so that is something that can be shaped from the beginning, from masa with our parents. Okay, in education at school, they will teach you all this technical knowledge, bahasa Melayu, language, mathematics, science, and so on. Okay, but the soft skill, the interpersonal skill, your characteristic, your traits, personal traits. Okay, we have learned for those who are in organizational behavior before this behavior class, we learn about the personal traits. Okay, the way that we interpersonal skill, the skill that we learn. They don't teach that in classes, not the technical skill, but interpersonal skill. Okay. So next is this one, okay? Hofstede isolated 5 dimension in different culture. So here actually also, if I'm not mistaken, I will go back here later. And if I'm not mistaken, it is actually over here. So okay, never mind. So let's take a look at the Hofstede 5 dimension. Okay, before that, dah pernah belajar ke belum ni? Okay, have you learned about the Hofstede 5 dimension? About culture? Have you seen this anywhere or learned this before? Not sure, okay. So it's okay. We just take a look at the are you guys here? I hope that someone or a few of you are listening to me. Okay, cool. Thank you, Nadia. Um, so Hofstede dimension, okay, summarize different culture. We have actually we have 6 dimension, okay. But when I study it's only 5. We have power distance, individualism versus collectivism, uncertainty avoidance, masculinity versus femininity, long-term versus short-term orientation, and also the last one is indulgent versus restraint. So why does Hofstede come with this dimension? Because he wanted to differentiate between countries, which country is actually in terms of power distance. We are going to take a look at that later, okay? These countries, they have like a distinctive differences, okay, compared to each other. So let's take a look at here. This is um, one of the website. It's very interactive, so you guys can try it later, right? For those who involved in international business, so you can use this to learn more about the country, ataupun if you are doing the pastel analysis, you are thinking about expanding your business abroad, so you can use this as a basis of knowledge. Okay, basis of knowledge, but you have to discover more than this. Okay, kita ambil example Kita ambil example kejap. I think I already have the hold on for a second, yeah. Hofstede. Sorry. This one, okay. So country comparison tool. Let me just betulkan balik. This one, okay. Ignore this. Can I delete this? All right. So here, actually, this is a comparison tool that can be made by us. the 6 dimension. Okay, so I choose, for example, I choose several countries. Let's say we choose Germany, and then we choose Japan. Okay, maybe we choose Korea lah. Okay, South Korea, and then we choose for example Egypt, and then another thing we can choose United States. Okay, so this color represent the country, Egypt, Germany, South Korea, and States. Orange, emerald, beige, and black. Okay, so how to know, okay, what does it means actually? Apa benda ni kan? Apa 80, 35? This is actually a score. Okay, a score. Let's take a look at here, right? This is the summary ataupun this is the things lah yang we talk about in here. So you guys can just click here. For example, power distance. Okay, when you click power distance here, then it will explain about why this specific country earned this score. Okay, that score. For example, here is Egypt. When we take a look at power distance, we can see like quite a difference here. Okay, between Egypt, sorry, yes, Egypt and Germany. Okay, very huge differences here. But in terms of Germany and United States, it's quite similar, and South Korea is about in the middle. And then all the explanation is here. Okay, but I just explained what power distance means. Okay, power distance means that people accept a hierarchical order in which everybody has place in terms of hierarchy. Okay, follow the hierarchy. Very reflecting as inherent inequalities. And then in this country, maybe centralization is popular because of why? Because subordinates in terms of power distance, subordinates can be considered as autocrats. Okay, if I'm not mistaken, for Malaysia, our power distance score is 100. Okay, meaning that we are really obeying our superior, okay, our boss. We really rarely question them. Okay, we are like a yes man lah in organization. Okay, this is a general score. And then for Germany, you can see here is highly decentralized, okay, supported by strong middle class, where actually in terms of structure, maybe they have more flat structure. We are going to take a look at the structure later. Maybe flat structure, and then it's employees in Germany, they have freedom to express ideas, to join in decision making process, to argue or to provide feedback, two-way communication between the subordinates and superior, right? Direct and participative communication and meeting style is common. Okay, control is disliked. So here, if you are planning to do a company in Germany, you know that the culture over here, you can't control, okay, you can't, put much freedom in decision making, in the way that they do their work, okay, and then just challenge their expertise and so on. Okay, South Korea and United States. Individualism, we talk about this. So the marks here, you can see that Egypt and South Korea is only 13 and 18. Meanwhile, for Germany is 79. All right. It's a truly individualist one. Okay, German society, where they have small family focus on parent-children relationship rather than being close to big family. Right. For Asian countries, most of the Asian countries, we are actually apa orang panggil tu collectivism, where we have a strong ties with our family, right? Strong ties with our families, and then in terms of practices of religion as well, we are very generally, okay, in Asia, strongly holds in religion in terms of as a pillars, okay, as a pillars in the things that we do lah, especially because we are very close with our family, extended family. Okay, in terms of loyal as well, high loyalty. I'll stay in a company for quite several years. Okay, that's why even in my own family, okay, in my own family, my mom and my dad has been working at the same company before this for so many years. Okay, and then but for Germany, loyal, because they focus on achievement oriented, right? So self develop individual rapidly. Job hopping, job switching is very common in the individualism culture. In terms of motivation towards achievement, success, okay, as usual, Germany and United States are having a high marks compared to South Korea. Okay. So this is actually considered as decisive society. Okay, performance is highly valued. All right, it's required as as early as in the school system. Okay, they separate school based on merits. Okay, here is they will the way that they evaluate, okay, from the very beginning in terms of merit, and then macam we dekat Malaysia, okay, us in Malaysia, we have our own public school, right? Our public school, we can still be in the same school, all right? Maybe the differences we can see in terms of the differences between the classes. Okay, kelas 1 sampai ke kelas yang ke-8 contohnya kan. So the differences between classes only. But in Germany, you can see that they separate children into different types of school at the age of 10. People rather live in order to work, something like that. Okay, very put emphasize on the achievement and success. Uncertainty avoidance, this is about taking risks, right? Taking risks. So for United States, is 46, and then Egypt is in the middle, and you can see that South Korea is 85. Okay, meaning that really avoid risk. Okay, if your marks is high, meaning that you avoid uncertainty, you are not involving in high risk practices. Okay, and then rigid codes of belief and intolerant of unorthodox behavior as well. Okay, so this is something that, yeah, you try to avoid the uncertainty. You try to avoid something that is not commonly practices. Okay, and then people have an inner urge to work hard, and because of the job security, for example. Okay, compared to the United States, low score. Because why? Because Americans find themselves will impact their behavior than if the culture would have either score or higher or lower. Okay, a fair degree of acceptance of new ideas, innovation, and so on. Right. Long-term orientation. So this is a relationship when doing business. Okay. And then in terms of society, in Egypt, very low, right? Okay, very low in terms of long-term orientation. Okay, culture that is normative. Where this one is actually they exhibits respect for tradition, a relatively small propensity to save for the future, and focus on achieving quick results. Okay, focus more on quick results. And South Korea is 100. Okay, because they are long-term oriented society. Okay, they are long-term. Lived by, guided by virtue, by good example, and then you can see that the idea behind it, the companies are not here to make money every quarter, but to serve the stakeholders, to serve the society at large and many generations to come. Okay, and lastly is the indulgence and restraint. So for Egypt is 0, meaning that it's a very restrained country. So here what it means is this is an indulgent society. Okay, restrained society do not put much emphasis on leisure time to control the gratification of their desire. Okay, sama dengan South Korea, the marks is quite low. So not really into the apa tu put much emphasis on the leisure time. Okay. But for United States here, this is quite an average score. So they combine together, balance, work hard and play hard. Okay. They are actually involved, okay, in terms of indulgence. They do have their time to have an entertainment and so on. Okay. So this is Hofstede punya dimension culture. So it has been criticized, assuming one-to-one relationship between culture and nation state. Macam yang cakap tadi kan, this one is just in general. It has been criticized because of why? Because maybe it's very culturally bound. Okay, informant only work within a single industry, which is the computer. Means that this is not widely. Actually, this is not a widely throughout the nation ataupun in the diverse industry. Okay, so but we can learn more. Okay, if we learn more, if we read more article journals, they implement this soft state to another industry. Okay, so let's say if you are working in any industry and then you would like to know more about how is actually international business works according to Hofstede punya dimension, so you can search, right? Just go to Scholar here to learn more about them. Okay. So here is study of Taiwan and United States, and then international marketing. So let's see in the okay, this one is in service sector. This one is oil and gas industry, automotive industry. Okay, so you can learn more about this in a specific industry. This is just a basis of it. Okay, so before we go for break, let's just finish it for a while. And then after that, we have, because we have learned, right? We have learned about the culture, okay, the culture that we have, that we have learned, okay? So let's take a look at actually in terms of the organization. So how does culture is actually play a role in organization? Okay, a positive organizational structure will help the company to achieve its goal, while a negative culture will lead to poor performance of employee. Okay, it's very important for you to build a positive, a healthy culture in a workplace, right? How to create healthy working environment. Okay, so this one you guys can read it later. Okay, in terms of organization culture in international business, be aware of the different channel of communication to ensure that message is understood. All right, let's say if you are working, okay, how this actually implication for managers. If you want to talk with your subordinates and then you notice that your subordinate is maybe someone that is not familiar with the culture, with the things, how it done here, how it works here. So instead of using a communication channel like email or text messages, maybe face-to-face is more suitable, right? Maybe face-to-face more suitable, and then send them for face-to-face training, physical training, so that you know the message is actually understood. Includes both verbal and non-verbal cues. Okay, ensure there is a workplace etiquette for employees to relate to each other, right? Create a culture where people can learn from each other, maybe buddy system. If you have a lot of foreigners in your company, and then you want them, especially in the industry, they have to learn more about the industry in the local market ataupun in the it works two ways. Okay, so one of it like a buddy system, and then make sure that employees are helping each other and so on. pay attention to the employee's perception and into the organizational hierarchy. Before this, we have learned, okay, in terms of Hofstede punya differences, right? So maybe there are countries that doesn't like to be more too hierarchy, okay, too many layers, all right? They wanted to get things fast and then they wanted to give the ideas. So we have to know this as well. By building a company with the right organization structure can really help us. We are going to learn about organization structure after this lah, after the okay. Uh, the focusing on managerial implication, like I've mentioned just now, okay, in terms of discipline at work, make sure that employees at for the company regulation perform as expected by the employer, and then interacting with employees, okay, use method that creates unity and good working relationship across the business. This is more like an educating, and then um apa orang panggil tu? You have to be more acceptable with other culture, with open your mind a little bit, okay? Be more acceptance lah, okay? But I'm not saying that until you change totally, you change who you are, change everything, okay? No, but you can choose to understand, all right? You can just choose to know, to understand, and then it will become much easier, okay, working together. Providing leadership, okay, so managers in this case are expected to lead by example. Let's say if there is any changes in organization, so managers should be the first one to implement, adopt new ways of working by become a role model. If the company shows that okay, we have implemented this, we want to work with this, we want to expand, we have to send people to other places, we have to blah blah blah. So you as a manager, you have to take the challenge, you have to show that it's doable to you, so that other people will be convinced, your subordinates will see you and respect you for the challenge that you have to. Therefore, they should be flexible in the dynamic nature of the business. Okay. And then in terms of creativity and innovation, okay, like we have seen just now, in terms of uncertainty avoidance, so for countries that promotes innovation, promotes creativity, so it's okay for them, okay, it's really promoted for them there. But for maybe in other countries ataupun other industry, maybe creativity and innovation, try to see whether the company, right, ataupun the industry itself promotes creativity or innovation or not. Okay, and the rest lah here. Okay, so ethical issue in international business, I'm going to cover this later in the last chapter. Okay, right, so we continue with the next chapter, which is the organization of international business. Okay, so under this chapter, if you can see here, starting from 5.5 until 5.7, we have talked about this previously last week. I have, sorry here, since from, the entry strategy, the mode of entry in international business. So this has been discussed previously last week. So today we are just going to learn about organization structure and then organization culture and performance in international business. Okay, and for organization culture and performance as well, we are going to have another topic, which is here, HRM. Global Human Resource Management. Okay, so we are going to cover more of the topic over here. So today is just going to be a very short one in terms of this for this chapter. Okay. By the end of this unit, you should be able to discuss the organization structure and culture in international business context. explain how strategic architecture contributes to business performance, and global market entry strategy ni semua kita dah belajar last week. Okay. So multinational companies, MNC, are faced with the challenge of developing the right organization structure that will enable them to manage their activity in global market. The thing that we have learned just now, right? Okay. One of the challenge here is if it's a local company, if it's a company just in the home country, then it will be easier because we have all these types of structure that we normally see, right? Functional structure, network, and then flat organizations chart, divisional, okay, flat structure, sama lah. Hierarchical organization, and then in terms of metrics, apa lagi? Line structure, project. Okay, so these are some of the common organization structure. But when it comes to international business, so whether we like it or not, now we have another one where we have to put this one. Mana tadi? Tak ada. Geographical, okay, because now we have one more geographical. For example, like CIMB Bank, okay, CIMB Bank, they have different branches in all over the Asian, okay, CIMB Bank structure. Let me see first. I'm not sure. Group structure. Okay, so here, group structure. Kita ada yang okay, ada here. Okay, so you can see so in this huge businesses, right? In this huge organization. So let's say if this is just a small a company in a home country, then it shouldn't have, for example, like here we have CIMB Vietnam, okay, and then CIMB Thai, and I believe that in other countries as well, Indonesia ke apa kan. So now we have this geographical challenge in doing organization structure, whether we want to have money, whether we want to do how do we are going to do the structure. So when we talk about organization structure, it's a system that allocates everybody with a specific role, right? Their tasks, their role, and then based on the job specification that they have, the responsibility that they have in a company, right? And then under organization structure as well, we have several elements. For example, we can see the chain of command, who is in control, who's in charge, and then we can see as well the span of control in the organization, right? This is actually a guideline for you to know what is your role and then who's in charge, okay? Who is your superior, who's your colleague and subordinates and so on, okay? And then the coordination as well, coordination of work. So in organization structure, you can find yourself in, when you are hired, you have a certain position. For example, lecturer, okay, lecturer. If you are a program coordinator, then you are a program coordinator. So each and every one of you, you have your job position, job title. And based on this job title, they will arrange you in an organization structure to see that, okay, which department you are working with and so on. So let's say in a typical business operation, it's very easy, okay, it's very easy. We have, I pergi bawah dulu, okay? So it's very easy. We have functional structure, very common. Okay, all the specialized job and responsibility, they are categorized by traditional business functions. Okay, business functions such as HR, marketing, administration, sales, finance, accounting. So all those business functions, it's very easy, like a typical one, traditional one. Okay, and then the benefit includes a high level of efficiency and economic of scale that may be achieved through an increase in output. Okay, everyone knows which department that they work for. And then we have so that one is typical one. When we talk about international structure, so we do have, okay, maybe we do have international division culture where a specific structure made to oversee the operations in foreign market ataupun in foreign country lah, in a host country. Each global business activity categorized in its division as a result leads to creation of valuable international experience in the business. So they may have country manager ataupun country head and so on. And under this country head, we will have the same one, okay, functional structure. All right. A more complex one, if let's say if I have experience in this like a complex structure where I have two similar same rank bosses. Okay, one boss in Malaysia and one boss is in Singapore. So I have to report to both of them lah, okay, to both of them. However, let's say final decision, let's say for boss A and boss B, they have I receive a contradiction of information, but I have to follow boss B because in Singapore, because of why? Because that boss B is actually a manager in memang betul-betul social media department, and my manager in Malaysia is marketing manager. All right, so basically in terms of marketing, social media in Malaysia is under marketing manager. But for social media itself, the work, the operation, the communication, everything is actually coming from my boss, the social media manager, HQ punya, the company punya social media manager, right? So that kind of, maybe okay, in terms of international structure, it can be like that, okay, the differences between. There are minimal chances of duplicating activity across organizations. So this is the challenge, okay? The duplicating activities ataupun the overlapping of information, contracting of information. Challenge in centralize those information as well, right? That some of the challenges. International division structure may not be useful when resources are scarce in some global market. Therefore, the corporation may not exploit its ability of economies of scale. This structure can be best suited for multi-domestic strategy that only little effort in terms of standardization and integration between the foreign and local operation. Okay, so now we go up here again, okay, because of the word here, okay, standardization, and then let's take a look at over here. So for a company, okay, types of organization structure, we have centralized and decentralized. Okay, we have centralized and decentralized. So for centralization structure, this is a very commonly practiced where authority is actually centralized in few central points, right? Only few individuals or manager involved in decision-making process. Right, top level executive direct all the operations to lower level employee. A responsibility of making decision given to the top management in the company. Right. So let's say, let's take a look at the more explanation. Are you guys still here with me?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
bro. Okay, yeah.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
This is the link. Okay, let's take a look at let's take a look at the more explanation. Okay. So for centralization refers to the process in which activity involve planning and decision making concentrated a specific leader or location. All right. In a centralized organization, decision-making powers are retained in the head office, and all other locations are directed from this main office. So the communication, you can see that it's flowing from a top-down manner, and then just a few of sources of information. When we learn about centralized communication in corporate communication, so the direction, the instructions, the apa orang panggil tu, the guideline and so on, all this are coming from very few sources. Okay, very few. It can be even one sources. Okay, one decision maker, one leader, and promoting the communication in all directions. So this is centralized communication. Same with centralized organization. So what are the advantage of this centralization? Okay, absolutely, it's very clear chain of command because we can see that who is actually responsible in making decision, who is actually responsible on giving out information, orders, and so on, right? Well-defined hierarchy, okay? So it can lead to efficient decision making. Everyone in the organization know who to report to and who to approach when they have any kind of question. So senior executive follow a clear plan of delegating authority to employees. It doesn't mean that, okay, when I talk about centralization, jangan fikir yang employee not involved in making decision. No, this is involve a lot of the delegation of responsibility. Okay, the keyword here is, yes, centralization, it made from the very top and then one of few sources from the top. But what they do is delegate responsibility to mid-level managers to other employees. Okay, then because why? Because there will be no overlap. We want to reach the efficient, right? Efficient decision making, efficient process, and clear chain of command. So it can be no overlap. Clear chain beneficial if organization needs to execute decision quickly and unified manner. Focus, vision, and then it can be reduced cost. Centralized organization follows standard procedure and methods that is lead to reduce office and administrative costs, right? Minimize operational expenses. Does not need to incur extra costs to hire specialists for other part of the organization, since critical decision only made at the head office and then communicated outwards. Okay. And then macam tadi kan several in a specific location. So for example, if your company, your home company is a Germany company, and then you have your company all over the world, Singapore, Malaysia, Japan, and so on. Okay, so the communication ataupun the decision making are made from a main office HQ in Germany, and then it will be communicated outwards. Doesn't matter where are the location, right? Quick implementation, improve quality of work. So these are some of the benefit of centralized organization structure. However, it can bring some drawbacks as well. The disadvantage of centralization, it can be perceived as bureaucratic leadership, right? Because it is actually restricted to individual at HQ level. Employees perceive like not unable to contribute in the decision-making process. Okay, and nowadays we know that researchers, they do support, they do encourage for organization to involve more employee in decision-making process. Okay. This lack involvement in shaping decision result in a loss of creativity, reduced performance motivation, and maybe as well, let's see if in the company ataupun in a specific departments, when they have problem, maybe the actual problem, it's not being addressed because lack of apa orang panggil tu? Upward communication. There is less of upward communication where you can report feedback, you can report, you can give ideas, you can give suggestions. So there is no upward communication, only downward communication, right? So maybe it can be seems like a bureaucratic leadership. and will put limitation on creativity and also motivation to work. Okay, because you are not really involved in company operation. Your job is not to ours is like do or die, something like that, right? And then in terms of remote control, organization executive under significant pressure to formulate decision, and they lack control over the implementation process, leading to inefficiency. So it can lead to inefficiency because lack control over the implementation. The failure of senior manager to decentralize the decision-making process contributes significantly to their workload, right? Because yeah, everything they need to come up with their own decision-making and so on, right? So might contribute to their workload. Delays in work, okay, it can be fast. I understand that. Like, if any decision made, for example, here, right, it's a quick implementation, mana tadi? Quickly and unified manner, okay, can execute decision quickly and unified manner. But let's say in a times um, where what do we call it? Moment of centralized communication may lead to productivity losses as employees rely while waiting, okay, while waiting for the information, for waiting for the instruction, so might lead to productivity losses when they have a specific problem, issue, or something. Employees will be less productive if they need to wait long periods to get guidance on their next task. Okay, lack of employee loyalty, this is based on because there may be less participation, less heard, and so on, less motivation, so lack of employee loyalty. Okay, so that is centralization. What about decentralization? Okay, decentralization is actually the opposite of centralization lah. Okay, where decision made at the subsidiary level. Okay, this is one of most critical decision made at the top level. However, all the directives are done in the middle and lower level management. Um, to learn more about decentralization, so let's take a look at. Okay, before that, I forgot. Okay, untuk centralization, one of the example that I can give is, for example, like Apple. Okay, Apple, we know that all the decision making is made from the HQ, and then they have production punya location at several location, right? But decision making in terms of uh, information and so on is made um is orchestra at the very top lah. Okay, and similar like airlines as well. The operation, okay, the main operation you can find in any location. It's quite similar. The information stream to in a very unified manner lah. Okay. All right. Next is we try to take a look at decentralized. Okay. Decentralized organization. Okay. Next is decentralized organization. Oh, sorry. Apa ini? Hold on, Okay. So decentralization in business is when daily operation and decision-making power are delegated by top management to middle and lower level managers, and sometimes even the team members, employees lah. Organization with decentralized structure allow upper management to focus more on growth opportunity and major decision rather than day-to-day duties. Okay, but however, macam yang I cakap tadi, alright, the directives, apa tu, the most critical decision are made at the top level. Okay, it doesn't mean that they are not being they are not making any decision at all. It's just that critical thing, problem, strategic planning, it is all done in a decentralized organization. So for example, a personal, apa ni? The advantage of decentralization is organization are self-sufficient. Since team members and managers, they are used to work independently. A decentralized organization are more capable in maintaining self-sufficiency if situation arise where business owner need to be away from work, right? And then if we want to compare just now with this one, okay, delays in work because the decision making can be made faster by middle level management or low level management. So it can be more faster, okay, self-sufficient lah if the business owners need to be away from work. So meaning that top management can take vacation, use sick days, and so on without having to worry about their organization falling apart when they are away. Okay. Scaling is easier. Okay. For example, if a restaurant decide to open another location in different state, decentralization can give new location freedom to operate independently. All right. When I talk about restaurant and then decentralization, there is something that come to my mind. Okay. Dah lama tak pergi. Okay, Nando's. One of the thing that come to my mind now is Nando's. Okay, Nando's is not in terms of the decision making, but in terms of the design of the restaurant. Okay, kalau kita pergi mana-mana, for example like McDonald's, Starbucks, yeah, most of the restaurant, right? Most of the restaurant, the interior will look the same. You will have counter over here, you will have the tables over here, and everything looks the same, right? The interior, the design, the atmosphere of the restaurant. But when we go to Nando's, different Nando's, they have a different atmosphere, okay? For example, like they still maintain the same theme, but the decoration, the table that used, I remember I remember once I went to Nando's and then I remember that the table, because we are sitting like a lot of us, okay, my friends. So our table is like it is made from the yang wood tu. Like a total, like I feel like I am eating using a log. Okay, kayu yang log, kayu balak tu kan. So I feel that way when I makan dekat Nando's. And then when I went to a different Nando's, maybe dia punya atmosphere is slightly different, okay? So can become, they can operate independently lah. What I'm trying to say is, what I love about them, okay, ni zaman dulu lah where we love to eating out and so on, right? So sekarang ni duduk rumah je kan. So yeah, it's very nice to see, the different atmosphere depends on the owner of the shop to the branch to come out with decoration and so on. Okay, operate independently. So it can result to customization, uh, more creativity and so on. Okay, faster decision making. I have terangkan tadi. And then happier team members. Okay, because of why? Because they involve more. They don't have to wait for longer time to get information. So sometimes it can be frustrating, right? If you have a problem and then you just sit and wait and then you don't know the problem, everything needs to be fast, especially if you are working as a middleman, you have a customer waiting, you have a clients waiting and so on for the thing, but you can't do anything because you are still waiting for the answers from the really top management. Okay, rather than this is like what we call divisional problem, and then it can be the decision can be made by middle level management ataupun you punya directing manager. Similar as well in education, right? In education. So okay, it's just that in decentralized, maybe it will be lack of it can become, this one is the less standardization. Okay, less standardization. So what I have learned, okay, what I have learned throughout my tenure as lecturer in different universities, sometimes it can be upsetting if it's not like what we call it, like a standard, it's lack of standardization. Okay, because why? Because we have to do a different thing for different activity for a different thing. Okay, previously, I remember previously working in an organization that have totally different academic calendar compared with other faculties. So it will become more difficult. Okay, why? Let's say this one is not about international business, but about decentralization. Because of why? Because when we want to do any university activities, we will turn out we don't have audience, we don't have participants. Because of why? Because our semester is different than the rest. Okay, sometimes when the peak of our semester is actually a semester break for other faculties, lack of standardization, right? It made a little bit frustrating for us. And then in terms of making other decision as well, final exam, totally different. Okay, I think for decentralization activity, sometimes ada activity ataupun decision making can be a quite hassle because lack of standardization. And maybe it can be, yeah, okay, it's like a waste resources because let's say if it's not done properly, okay, decision made by the middle level manager, and after that they realize that, oh, okay, middle level management punya decision is wrong, so you have to do all over again. So maybe it's not really proper for decentralized organization to for organization to have decentralized organization if they don't have a competent middle level management. Okay, so in order for you to have a decentralized organization, you need to make sure that your middle level managers are very competent and then in line, in sync with top level management, meaning that they know already what the top management preferred, what the way that they do their work. Okay, so if let's say if it's like a synchronized thing, it will become so much better. Kalau tidak, nanti dia akan jadi waste resources because middle level management punya pursue it's not the same as top level punya ni. So it has to be work together lah. As a top management, you need to make sure that your middle level management dengan lower level management really in sync with you and understand perfectly what are your expectations, the way that you are doing your work, what are the organizational goals, objective, and so on. Okay, again, this is a theory, so it can be practiced in the real world, but need to be apa namanya itu adaptable at some point and maybe less adaptable for some organization. Okay, difficult in collaborating with so many different leaders, and then we have to deal with a lot of opinions, schedules, so it can be tough, right, to collaborate for a new project ataupun coordinate functions together. And then poor leadership, this is what I meant just now. Okay, this is what I meant just now. Yeah, okay, memang kena ada talented group of middle managers. Okay. So the rest is yang ni tadi kita dah go through. Okay, other types of organization structure is product division structure. Okay, you guys will learn this more in management later. Okay, product division structure. This is like it is based on product. Mana CIMB tadi? Pula dah. Okay, so CIMB bank structure just now, right? You can see here, if I'm not mistaken, I saw something. Okay, so in terms of product, so this one is Islamic bank, and then this one is investment bank, and then I'm sure that they have apa orang panggil tu kalau untuk customer, I think like a commercial or something like that. Okay, apa ni other bank structure, what is this? So they have several entities, so on lah. So if a product you can, okay, for example, product organization structure. Okay, I rasa I've this one. Nestle. Nestle punya organization. Okay, so here, this is ini assignment orang. So, examples lah, okay, whether it's true or not. So I'm not sure. So this is an example. Operation, finance, control, SBU, marketing, sales. This one is like a departmentalization, ataupun it can be division yang ni tadi. Okay, functional. Lepas tu product division. You can see here the Nestle Nutrition, and then it should be like a F&B, and then it can be for baby product, for example, food and beverage, and then other things like macam-macam lagi lah, okay, Nestle punya product. So if it differentiate the structure by products, so that one is product punya division. Geographic division structure. So where the company has more foreign operators spread across different regions or market. So you can see here, they have Europe. They have Europe, they have Asia, Oceania, Africa, and also America. Okay, different one. Maybe it can be in terms of the regional lah. Kalau the company is very huge, maybe it doesn't have HQ in every country, but in regional offices. For example, in Asia, okay, Malaysia covers offices ataupun branches in Singapore, Thailand, Malaysia, Brunei, Indonesia. Okay, 5. Vietnam. So, and then for that one is Southeast Asia punya offices. And then for other regional in Australia, cover the whole Australia. And then things like that. Okay, so they have, and Europe cover everything cover every companies in Europe. So that one is geographical division structure. Matrix, this is the challenge of global integration and local responsiveness force company to develop a matrix division structure, a combination. Okay, a combination. Overlaps among the divisional, overlaps among the functional. Okay, thus technical and product geographical group can be their focus on core activity. Macam ni lah. So this one, if this is a correct one, so this can be the sekejap So this can be the hybrid, okay, ataupun matrix, matrix structure. All right. So last topic, okay, last topic, it's about, we have learned this one just now. Power distance kan, kita dah belajar yang ni, yang Hofstede ni. So organizational performance, okay. One of the thing that we can do, okay, this table actually, siapa tahu this table is actually referring to what? Financial perspective, customer. What do we call this table actually? Pernah nampak tak this table? Or are you using it in your organization? Or maybe you have seen it before, when you go for induction ataupun when you go for town hall meeting and then your company show this to you. Anything, anyone? Financial, customer, internal business perspective and learning perspective. Yes, very good. Okay, this is what we call as balanced scorecard. Okay, so balanced scorecard is what we use, all right, in managing try to take a look at the performance, okay, by the organizational. Hold on. Um, I tak boleh type lah. Okay, sekejap. Um, can you still hear me? Because I couldn't, my internet is, what's wrong with my internet? But you guys still can hear me?
Yes, Miss Surya.
I'm not sure why it's not loading. Okay, finally. All right. So for balance scorecard, I will tell you, okay, I will tell you, actually I have one balance scorecard yang dah pernah buat before this, tapi I don't know how to put it here. Balance scorecard. Okay, never mind lah. So let's take a look at it. So, okay, under balance scorecard, actually got 4 areas. Okay, 4 areas that companies should evaluate, should analyze atau evaluate the performance. Okay, these areas are financial perspective, customer perspective, internal business perspective, and learning perspective. Okay, so financial, definitely the name is financial, right? So what they do is, in terms of the financial reporting, in terms of the, everything that related to financial activity in organization. And then for customer perspective, this is for continuous improvement in the giving product quality ataupun service quality to customer. Management should focus more on building customer relationship, gaining more customer, gaining customer loyalty, and so on. Okay, and then for internal business perspective, this is about business operation. For example, like in a business operation, make sure that you have an effective and efficient operation, and then in terms of giving a good after-sales service, customer satisfaction, all about your business operation. Learning perspective, this is towards your employees, where you have to make sure that your employees continuously getting more information, they are developing their skills, and then you will have a good employees, okay, well-known, high skill employees, and then keep on learning. So by sending them to training, by sending them to make sure that they have an expertise, because when you get any position, work position, for example, like if you are investment analysis, okay, so you need to know everything about it, and then the new thing come in the industry ataupun the new things introduced related to investment, then you should know. So how you have to give to your you have to send your employees for training to get more information. Okay, so